This is the video replication file for Lecture Prep 3 from the St. Louis University course Introduction to GIS. Today we're getting introduced to Tibbles, a specific type of data frame that behaves in a uniform, predictable way. To start, I have RStudio open to my assignments repository, which should be cloned into the course directory structure if you haven't done it already. I'll begin by creating a new R project, selecting the existing directory option, and associating it with the LP03 folder under Lecture Preps. Once I create that R project, RStudio will restart and will be automatically taken to that new project. I'll also add a new folder named Docs for our files for today's assignment. Next, we'll create a new R notebook. Instead of editing it, however, I'll show you a shortcut that I use. I delete the entire contents and go to my web browser. I have it open to an R notebook that is available on GitHub. This is the lab replication file from Lab01. If I click on the raw button that is along the top of the file itself when that file is opened on GitHub's website, I'm given a plain text version of what GitHub was rendering. I'll highlight the initial sections and copy and paste them into my empty notebook in RStudio. Now it's just a matter of editing the fields that have changed. I'll change the title of the notebook and the assignment reference in the introduction. I'll also update the list of dependencies so that they match the needs of this specific assignment. And then finally, update the data source. Finally, I'll take a moment to save the notebook into the Docs folder. Once that's done, we can see both the notebook and the HTML output saved in Docs. Before we tackle question 5, I want to make sure I've executed the code chunks in the notebook so that dplyr is loaded and the lead data object is in our global environment. With that done, I'll fully expand my console and use the print function to visually explore the lead data. When we print data frames, we get every row and every column, or every variable. However, since the data frames are typically wider and longer than our screens, they don't print in a particularly accessible manner. You can see how messy this output looks here. However, if we print our data frame as a tibble using the asTibble function from dplyr, we get a simplified view that structures the data in an easy-to-read manner. We only get the first 10 observations, and we only get the first few columns. This is often enough to get a good preview of our data quickly. Back in our notebook, we'll address question 7, noting that the asTibble output is much easier to read. So again, I'll describe the limited number of rows and the limited number of columns. I'll also add a third level heading to our narrative, noting that this is for question 7. I'll do the same thing when we address question 8. And what we'll do in this question is convert the lead data object to a table named leadTibble. Again, we'll use the asTibble function to take our data frame and assign the tibble that asTibble creates to a new object. Once we're done, we should save our work and knit it to produce our markdown output. We can check it in the window that pops up. Finally, we'll close the output and open up GitHub Desktop. The files we've created have been detected by Git as new additions to our repository. We'll add a commit message under Summary. We are submitting Lecture Prep 03. And then click Commit to Master. After our commit, we'll push those files to github.com and wait for the push to finish.